This video is for anyone who wants to become a teacher seller on TPT, also known as Teachers Pay Teachers. I have been attending a conference in Nashville. I'm still in my hotel. This is the hotel kitchen. And I wanted to share with you what I've learned in the first 2 days of sessions. Got my Nashville shirt on, taken a shower, and I'm ready to share. For anyone who wants to become a teacher seller on Teachers Pay Teachers, TPT, I don't know if you can actually see that. It's TPT on there. If you've ever wondered what a conference is like, I'm not sure how this is different from other years, but they did give us a conference guide and it has all of the sessions. And then they have the sessions listed here. The ones highlighted in yellow are the ones for everyone. And then they've got a list, and you can see that I starred the ones that I wanted to go to. So it's got a QR code for all the session handouts. It's got a map of the hotel. Our conference is in a hotel. I'm not staying in that hotel. I'm staying in a cheaper one. They gave us a little swag bag. They gave us a notebook, a pen, a shirt. As a card-carrying nerd, I took a lot of notes. So I'm going to give you the condensed version. They fed us breakfast, and then they had an opening session, a keynote with Brooke Brown. So some takeaways from the keynote speaker. If you are a TPT seller or you want to be a TPT seller, her takeaways were connect and collaborate, meaning join forces with other teacher authors. Don't think about them as like competitors you should never talk to. Number 2, she said, let the data guide you. So you should be looking at how your store is doing, what's selling, when is it selling, those types of things. And then third takeaway is keep going, don't be discouraged. That's a summary of the first session. And then the next session I went to is called How to Pivot When Sales Aren't Where You Want Them to Be, taught by teacher Holly Griffith. She talked about how it's important to have growth mindset, and that leads to pivoting. So if your business isn't doing as well as you want it to, here are some things to look at. She played heavily into the 80-20 rule. If you've read that book, basically that 20% of your customers account for 80% of your revenue, and also 20% of your time produces 80% of your most valuable products. So she said, focus your time and efforts efficiently, because if only 20% produce most of what you're making, focus on that 20%. She said another pivot is mindset. So if you are just discouraged about what's going on, change your mindset, growth mindset. Number 3, spend time where it counts. Again, kind of sticking to that 80-20 rule. Number 4, the quality and flexibility of your resources matters. So make high quality resources, obviously, so people like them and they can use them in their classroom, but also make resources that can be flexible, that you can change later on or that other people can change to adapt to their classroom. She gave us a checklist for what you should do for a resource. She said you can also revive some of your old products and your old bundles. She said you can also work on marketing. She does Facebook ads. She talked a little bit about SEO, but there was another session on SEO that went really deep into it. Actually, probably my favorite session. Speaking of, let's move on to that. So the next session I went to was SEO for Google and beyond, creating content strategy to bring in new buyers. And this was a session hosted by Michelle Shields, who works for IXL. IXL is the parent company of TPT. She has written for Teachers Pay Teachers seller blog. So she defined what a content strategy is. It's basically a big picture plan that guides your planning, creation, and management of content, more specifically for TPT sellers. It is a comprehensive plan for how and when you'll create resources and update your product listings. Her points were: first, define your brand. She focused on SEO, obviously, and mostly with Google. Google looks at your store's experience, your store's expertise, your store's authority, and the trust that people have in your store. So Google wants to know you, and they get to know you through the words that you type. So your title and description are pretty important. So if you have a brand identity, what your brand is to people, that should come through in your resources. But she also emphasized when you're coming up with keywords, key search terms, so that you can rank on Google, you should not have the same key search term for every product. Each product should have its own key term, and there should be one. And you should put it in your title, your description. And I also went to another marketing class a few weeks ago that said the same thing. Your keyword that you want to rank for on Google should be in your title and your description, but it should be naturally in your description, and it should sound natural. She also recommended that you start a master list of your resources. So she had a spreadsheet template, which was really cool, that she shared with us, where you list your resource, the link of your resource, you list what product line it's in, you list what you want to do with the resource if it needs updated, if you're happy where it's at, you list the day you posted it, you list the last time you updated it. So you have basically a spreadsheet of all of your resources and all the information you would want to know on them. Really good idea. So that was point 2. The keywords are supposed to describe your resource accurately because Google wants to trust that what you say your product is actually what it is. So that's way more important than finding a keyword that ranks high on Google. It should be accurate. She gave us some free SEO tools. I don't know how to pronounce this, but Ahrefs will give you some keywords. Ryan Robinson has free keyword research tools. TPT on their blog, they talk about trending searches. So basically what you do is you take a seed keyword or like a keyword that you think would work, and you do some research on it. You type it into those resources I just listed. And then you find relevant keywords with the search volume. It tells you how many people are actually searching for that keyword. Basically, you want a keyword that a lot of people are searching for and that not a lot of products currently exist. So it will tell you how many people search for that, and it will also tell you how easy it is going to be to compete with other people. Basically, are a lot of people providing content for that keyword? She also recommended look at Google's SERP, which is a search engine results page. And if for that keyword videos are popping up, that means Google assumes that people want videos when they search for that key term. If you type in that term and TPT pops up, that's a really good sign because Google thinks when people type in the search term, they're looking for educational resources. Anyway, so you take that seed keyword, do some research on what other keywords, and then pick 3 to 5, and then you kind of narrow it down and you ask yourself these questions. Does your keyword describe the resource? Would you create similar resources to that keyword in the future? Like, would you use it for something else rather than the resource you're looking at that keyword for? Because remember, one keyword for one resource. You don't want your store to have the same keyword as every product. You want each resource/product to have its own keyword. Does it sound natural in a paragraph? And she told us you can add words like and for example, if you were making a geography lesson for high school students, you wouldn't say geography lesson high school. That doesn't flow naturally in a sentence. You would say this is a geography lesson for high school students. Does it have search volume? Is the search intent to find a product to use in education? And what's the difficulty level? Meaning, how easily could you compete for that keyword? And then you conduct a content audit. So once you have your keyword, once you have your master list, you look at your content and you think about what should you update, what should you delete, what should you completely remake? And then you set a priority. Are you going to focus on content creation, content updating? And then you create your content strategy. Basically, it's a big picture plan, like I said before. What you do is you need to take into consideration lots of lists here. We love a good list. Your target audience, your brand goals, your existing resources, your new keyword opportunities, and your bandwidth. Because if you're not willing to make a ton of new resources, you got to take that into consideration. And then she gave us some examples of a content strategy. And then I skipped a page in my notes. Do you guys ever do that? And then she says, set trackable goals, and then you can compare. So if you have all your resources and then you change a few, like you redo one of your resources in terms of its title and description and add in new keywords that you've done some research on, then you can track how many views that product got before you changed and after. So you can see what's working and what is not. So when you make a change, you want to track your data. That's what teacher sellers mean when they say you got to know your data, your numbers. Paul Mishkin, the CEO of IXL, spoke next. Basically, I didn't get a lot from that. Other than they own Rosetta Stone, and their goal is to copy what Etsy is doing. Then I went to a session called From Reels to Revenue, How to Leverage Instagram to Market Your Products. This one was taught by Rihanna Lee. She is from Australia. So she told us there are 200 billion reels that are played across Facebook and Instagram daily. So if you think there's too much stuff on Facebook and Instagram, maybe, but 200 billion, 200 billion. So she talked about a funnel and how when you're posting, she focused on Instagram. When you're posting, your goal is to kind of like funnel into a sale. You want to do different things with what you're posting, with your reels. You want to bring awareness to who you are, grow your audience, educate people, entertain, inspire. And then someone else added encourage, which I liked. You want to create content that people want to share because the algorithm will push you out if you create content that other people save or share. Likes and comments don't really matter in terms of if Instagram will push your content out. I actually learned that from another teacher on another day. And she said that could change. So another thing you can do with your reels is you can drive traffic, you can convert passive viewers into engaged prospects, encourage clicks, provide value, and you can also sell your product, which is the bottom of the funnel. You know how a funnel is shaped. You know how a funnel is shaped. You should set a plan for your content. Is it to, so if you're making a reel, is it to create awareness? Is it to drive traffic? Is it to sell? Is it to entertain, educate, or inspire? So you set your purpose for the reel, and then here's what you do to create a reel. You want to hook people in the first 1 to 3 seconds. You want to convince your viewers to stay, create curiosity. And maybe you, like me, have seen so many things about this with like, you can do a storytelling. You can say, you should never do this. You can make a bold claim. You can share results. You can do a trend. She had us practice writing hooks. And then we practice using InShot, which I have used before. And another teacher, again on the next day, said she prefers CapCut. And I think I agree with her. But that's all for day 1. I'm going to do day 2.